Hey everyone, it's Alicia here at New VA Advice, where I offer business, marketing, and mindset coaching to help virtual assistants get out of overwhelm and create a business that they love. And today I am here with you to cover part one of our three-part training series on how to get clients online as a virtual service provider. So if you're here live or watching the replay, welcome. Let me know that you're here in the comments. I will be checking them as I go through. Because I really want this to be interactive. If you're on and you have questions or you want a clarification or you want to know how to use something that I talk about for your specific situation, please use the comments and let me know, and I will help you with that. So, like I said, we are going over my strategy, what worked for me to get clients online. Now, yes, there are offline methods too, and yes, you can combine things, but we're really just going to focus on online for this series and how you can make it work for you. So we're going to go over my strategy, the way that I was able to fill my client roster, and also this is the same way that I coach my own clients on how to do it, and they see results as well. So, as I say with anything, sorry, my phone was going off. I am not the be-all and end-all when it comes to marketing and everything there is to know. I'm just sharing what has worked for me and what has proven to work for other people as well. It's a solid method. It doesn't take a lot of money, like I said in the notes, but it does take time and consistency. And take the pieces that you feel are beneficial to you and leave the rest. So you might end up finding some golden nuggets that make sense for you, and you can leave the rest, okay? I want this to be something that makes sense for you and works for you too. So I'm going to try to go into as much detail as I can. And like I said, ask questions along the way. Okay. So what else do I want to tell you? Basically, I want you to think of this. I mean, I really think of any business building merely as like a puzzle. Think about a puzzle and how you decide to put it together. You usually have a strategy, right? Some people do it different ways, but my strategy has always been, first you need to turn them all over so that you can see them face up, so you see the pictures. Then you get the box lid so that you can see the big picture of what you're going to make. And then you start putting around the edges, the border, right? You go through and you find the pieces with the smooth edges and you put your border together. And then from there, you can start filling in the inside pieces. Now, other people might do a different way, but this is my strategy for marketing as well as doing anything else in my business. So that's what I'm going to share with you. That's what I want you to think of as we go through this. So let me tell you the different parts that we're going to go over, and then we'll get into part one today. First of all, I do want to say this training series, yes, it's free, but it is standalone, meaning that there will be actionable tips. You can take this and do something with it in your business. In fact, I want you to do that. So watch, take notes, check out the replay, and you can do stuff to make it happen in your business. So that's my goal. Will I tell you how you could learn more, or maybe a product or a way to work with me to continue this process? Yes, sure, because I'm in business. You're in business. We want to make money in our businesses. We don't want a hobby, right? So that's what we do. But you can use this training just as it is as a standalone piece to learn things you need and implement in your business. So my whole thing is you need to take action though. Okay, so you can take what you're learning in here, take action, put it into place in your business, give it some time and be consistent, and that is what will yield results. Okay, so our three parts today is our first day. We're going to cover your services, your market, and then how to find that market online. So that's part one. Part two is going to be getting you out there because, like I said, we're putting puzzle pieces together. That's the first piece. So that next part would be, what's your presence? What if people were to look for you online? What are they going to find? How are you putting yourself out there? Do you need a website? We're going to cover that as well in part two. Okay. And then part three will be getting to know the client. We're going to talk about how to find them today, but we're really going to talk about in part three, how to get to know them, how to interact with them, how to connect with them, and then also how to make like a marketing schedule so that you can keep track of all of this stuff that you're doing. Okay, so that is our plan. Let me pull this up. Questions so far? Let me know. I'm looking over this way because I'm going to check it on my computer as we're going. Questions are welcome. And hi, everybody. Yes, feel free to say hello and introduce yourselves. Okay, so everybody's on board. We're good with this so far? Okay, so in this part 1, we are talking about your services, your target market, and then how to find them online. So let me start with services. I did try to poll a number of you ahead of time to see on this particular topic for part 1, where do you need the most help? Where are you stuck with these pieces? Now, it seemed that most of you had a good idea of your services. So I'll spend a little bit of time on that, but then I'll move on to other pieces. And of course, questions, ask me as you go. So my biggest advice when trying to figure out what your services should be, or think about your own skill set. So these are things that you are good at. Maybe it's something that you learned through school, something you're doing in your current job or past jobs. It could be something you learned in a volunteer opportunity. It could be something you learned in personal life, right? Like the school of life teaches you a lot of skills, right? So think about those things when you're trying to decide what services to offer. And I always say, start where you're at. Start with what you already know how to do now, something you've been doing, something you've done in the past, something you do for friends and neighbors maybe, because that happens for people, something you're naturally good at maybe, or something that you've learned really well, okay? Start with where you're at and offer those things. You can always add or subtract services later. Again, it's your business, so make it what you want. So start with what you know, and then you can add on to that later. You could take courses if you want. You could learn by doing. There's lots of different ways to add to your services later, but start where you're at now. So let me give you an idea of some categories to get you thinking if you're really not sure. So you have a category that really has to do with like what I consider the written word. So writing, maybe you're doing writing or ghostwriting, transcription, editing, proofreading, helping others with their blog and writing it or pulling pieces out for it. Again, to me, all of that has to do with the written word. So maybe that's your thing. Maybe there's something in there that you can pick as a service. Then you have tech stuff. So tech could be a lot of things. It could be helping people with their websites, with their shopping carts, with website security, setting up any of those things. Think, tech stuff. If you're good with putting those pieces together and figuring out how it all works for somebody, that could be services that you offer to somebody. So another category, which is a big one, could be social media. And social media can be lots of things. Maybe you're just good and you're a social butterfly and you enjoy being out there and talking to people on social media platforms. You can do that for your clients. And there are a number of different levels of service that you can offer within that. You could simply just be posting what they've provided to you and help them keep a schedule. You could be checking for interaction for them and letting them know, or interacting, as part of their team with others. You could be helping create that content with them, or you could also be managing all of that. So maybe you're good with the analytics and the stats when it comes to that kind of stuff, and you really help them manage and market on social media. Okay. And then marketing itself is a whole nother piece. Maybe you're really good at that. Maybe you've helped people with online or offline marketing and getting the word out about their business and meeting their, finding their target market. So that can be a category. I see somebody on today is reminding me when it comes to written word, it can also be things like I mentioned, transcription, books, writing. Think about that as well. Okay. Then there's the admin category. So there's lots of stuff in admin, right? It could be helping people organize, whether it's their schedule or their workspace. It could be email management. It could be scheduling and keeping track of appointments for people. It could be data entry. There is the whole idea of customer service, whether that's like a help desk online, or whether you're actually making phone calls for people, answering their calls, or that kind of thing. And research. People need research on all kinds of topics. So whether they're writers, they need help researching something, or, there's lots of reasons for research. Again, I'm just throwing a lot of ideas out here because what happens, what I find is, I throw these topics out and then a light bulb's going to start going off for you. You're, oh yeah, that category. That's something I want to explore more. So that's the idea. I want you to get these ideas now so you can explore and see what makes sense for you. Okay, so more categories on services. Project management. A lot of people are really good at that. Maybe you already do that in your work world. You can do that in business for yourself. And then business management. There is a whole concept of online business manager, which is a person who runs somebody else's team. They have other people that do all the parts and specialize in this or that, and they're running it all, making sure that it's getting done and deadlines are being met and things are getting taken care of. Okay, so those are ideas on services. Questions, help needed on the services part. And then I'll move on to target market. But I just want to make sure. Let me check your comments. Comments. Let me refresh this. Okay, so that's services. If you're watching this in the replay and you need more ideas, let me know. We'll go over it, okay? So, like I said, most of you that I polled ahead of time before we did this, you had an idea of what you want to offer for services, but it's kind of the next piece, the market. So some people were stuck on the market altogether. Others were how to reach that market and connect with them. So we're going to cover those things. Today is going to be how to reach the market. The connecting is going to come later in part 3, so bear with me. Like I said, puzzle pieces. We're going to put it together in an order that makes sense, one step at a time, so you don't feel overwhelmed. That's what I help people do, one piece at a time. Okay, so next you need to figure out your market. Now, you don't need to have all of this down to a science right away. I don't want you to feel like I'm just starting out my business. I need to know exactly to the T the services that I'm offering and exactly to the T the one exact person that I help with my services. It's not that. Here's the difference though. If you put yourself out there and you are saying to people, oh, I'll do any kind of work for anyone that needs it, then you will not attract anyone. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. If you put yourself out there and say, I'll do any kind of work for anyone, you will attract no one. It's not specific enough. People need to see themselves in your marketing. They need to know that you get them and you do the thing that they need. You're solving a particular pain point for them. So in order to even get there and market to them, you have to know what you do and how that helps somebody. Right? And who is going to be helped by that, and then talk to that person. It doesn't have to be a big complicated, yes, I know there's a lot to copywriting, but at least start with some basics of here's what I do and here's who I help with that. Here's how I help you. Basic pain points are usually save money, make money, save time, so that they can do other important things in their business that only they can do. Okay, so those are some basic pain points to think about. Okay, so again, that's my whole thing here. When you're going through this with me, just know, pick something. You have to start somewhere, right? I'm not saying there's only one kind of person in the entire world you can ever work with, but you need a place to start. You need a jumping off point. It can change and it can, become something else later, or you can add on to your markets as you go. And you may do that as you work with a particular group or do a particular service. You'll decide, oh, I really like that. I want to do more of that. Let's go look for more people who need that. Or, I thought I would like this, but I'm not really into it. I don't want to do that anymore. And that's the beauty of it. It is your business. So little note there, when you're thinking of those services and what you're good at, I also want you to think of, besides being good at it, do you enjoy doing it? I don't want you stuck in a place where you're advertising a service that you're good at, but you can't stand doing, and then you resent the business and you resent the clients and the whole thing isn't fun for you. I want you to have a business that you love. Okay, so with the market, and let me give you, this is a quote from a real virtual assistant right now who has a VA business. She's working with clients. And she posted in the group when I was talking about this topic, remember when I said, if you're too general in your marketing, you're not going to attract anyone. And then people wonder why they don't get clients. Here's what she said. I had the standard message of, I help business owners with their admin tasks, which is so vague and doesn't speak to anyone. And I see so many people out there with that same message who then get frustrated when they don't have any clients or keep attracting the wrong ones. Okay, so this is a perfect example of somebody who did that and it didn't work. It was too general. Too general. Business owners is too general. Admin tasks, too general. We want to get it narrowed down a little bit more. I'm not saying you can't work with different business owners, but who are those people? What kind of businesses do they have? That's a whole discussion we could get into. Okay, so in order to figure out that market for you, start with who needs what you have to offer. What's the pain point that you resolve for someone? What do you alleviate? Who needs that help? Maybe it's some industry that you're already familiar with working with in your working life. Maybe it's an industry that you've worked for in a volunteer setting. Or maybe, and this one often helps a lot of people, maybe it's someone in an industry that you're interested in and as a hobby. Think about your hobbies. Is there a market there somewhere for you? Can you get in and help? Because you already like it, right? You're already interested in that topic. So maybe you can help that industry. I'll give you an example. I was working with a client one-on-one going through this process, and we got really clear on her services and what she wanted to do and what she didn't want to do, but she was kind of stuck on the whole market. She knew she did not want to work with the market that she previously worked for. She was in the corporate world and was just changing directions in life, but that's all she knew was corporate. So she was very stuck as to, okay, well, who else needs what I have to offer? And we started talking through this process that I'm mentioning here about, who have you worked with in the past? Who have you worked with in volunteer? What about your hobbies? And I asked about her hobbies, and she was very much into health and wellness and essential oils and holistic healing, and was able to spout off about these topics so easily. And I let her talk, and then I said, you know what? Here's the services you told me you can do. Here's a market that needs your help. It's that health and wellness industry. And she was just, light bulb moment. She just never thought to put those pieces together. She needed to talk to someone else to figure that out. So that was big for her. And it made sense for her. She already knew that market. She knew the languaging they used. She knew what pain points they had. And she also knew where to find them because she was already hanging out in those places socially because it was a hobby of hers. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about your market, okay? So those are some ways to come up with the market. Now I want to give you some specific examples of markets that will help. As I'm doing this, if you are on live and you want help figuring out your own market, I'm going to refresh this. Tell me in the comments and I'll tell you my thoughts on that, because I'm going to give you some right now based on feedback that I've already received. I asked you these questions ahead of time if you signed up for reminders for the series. Okay, so here is the first example. This person said, okay, services they have. They said data entry, email management, and possibly customer service. I love to research. I have a degree in criminal investigation. Okay, so she's very specific on the services and her background and what she enjoys. Great, good start. Market, she's not really sure who that could be. So here's my suggestion. You said research and you said criminal investigation. So those things are setting off, thoughts for me. What about authors in the true crime or crime fiction genre? These people need research for their books, whether it's online or offline, published authors, however you might want to think of it. It's just a thought. Those kinds of people need research, but they also need other things too. So think about the other services you mentioned that you could offer. Maybe you can offer these same people, authors, for example, email management, help with managing their schedule. There's a lot to go on in an author's world. Think about where you could fit in and help them with those pieces. So that's one suggestion. Do you already have a kind of clientele that you're helping with those services now? Is that a group of people that you would enjoy helping? Outside of your workplace, getting your own clients like that. Who might those people be? Again, what are your hobbies? Is there a group that would help, that you could help doing this? Some people also think about, besides volunteer opportunities and where you might have volunteered, where you might be able to help a particular market. People have helped in their churches in lots of different services providing to their churches, just things that they didn't think about before because you're not thinking of your business in that way. I'm able to look at it from an outsider's perspective and give you some tips on that. So let me know if that helps, but that's just Those are my initial thoughts when you mentioned those particular services and your background. So maybe those are paths that you can investigate. Another person asked, okay, so she's clear on her services, WordPress website setup and management. Okay, that is a huge market. Pretty much anyone who's online who has a website needs, website help and management. So maybe it's that you're overwhelmed with, well, then who do I start with? So let's narrow it down a little bit then, okay? You have people on one hand who know how to do it but don't have the time. They need to focus other places on their business. You could think about those people. Or people on the other hand who don't know how to do it at all. And again, they don't want to learn to do it. They just want to give it off to someone else, but they have no idea what to do, where to start. Okay, so think about those groups of people, because you also, in any of these target markets, you want someone who can afford to pay you to do the work, who understands the value of hiring someone who is good at what they do and can handle this, so that that person can then focus on something else in their business. Okay, so you want someone who can pay you for what you do. All right, so when it comes to website management and setup, think of people who know how to do it but don't have the time, or people who don't know how to do it at all and need to get set up. And either group can pay you to do this. So ideas on that. Well, like I said, there's a lot of people out there who need help with this kind of stuff. What about brick and mortar businesses who want to also create an online space? There are a lot of businesses now who are really just getting up to speed with the fact that they may have a storefront, a physical location, but they need to be online in order to reach a bigger market and get more exposure. So what about those people? They don't necessarily, these business owners are running this shop or a service. Let's say it's a hair salon or a plumber or a bakery. They could be selling services or they could be selling actual products. Either way, think about those people. They need to create a website. They need to get online. They don't have the time or effort or energy to do that. They would much rather pay someone to get it done for them. So those could be someone that you could look to use as a target market. And then of course there's lots of other markets out there who need website help and management. Authors, coaches, bloggers, people in the health and wellness industry. Like I said, anybody who needs the website and needs to understand that it needs to be maintained and kept up, and security and all that kind of thing. Okay, so I hope that helps you kind of think through your market and matching those up, marrying together the services, what you're good at, and then who you want to work with. And also think about the kind of person too, right? Like personality wise, who are you going to get along with? Sometimes people find it easier to think up the ones that they're not going to get along with, and then they can say, okay, I need someone who's more like this. And putting those pieces together will help you form in your mind who this person is. So much easier to market with them, to them, when you can see them in your mind as a person. Okay? All right, let me check comments. Okay. Mel says, I always see graphic and web design and virtual assistants. I really enjoy the first two. The third is just to bring in consistent money. However, I don't have clients. Am I a pro at these? Not really, but I enjoy them. I've done them for businesses as an employee before. I have no idea what groups to go to in order to sell these. My skills are in the hospitality industry, but I don't want to do it anymore. Okay, so here's an example of Mel knows the skills, but not looking to work in the same industry she was in. And I want to speak to your point. You said, am I a pro at these? Not really, but I enjoy them. Do you know more than someone else? Are you a little further along the path than someone else? You don't necessarily, unless you're going to really want to specialize and call yourself an expert in something, and you have, you've done it for years or taken a course that you have to get certified or something, that's different. Yes, you can do that. I'm just looking at a starting off point though. Do you know more than somebody else? Can you help them with a certain amount of steps in that process that they don't know how to do themselves? Then great, go for those people. You don't have to look for people who just want an expert who knows the whole thing from A to Z. Do you know pieces A to D? Then be honest and advertise pieces A to D, and do that for the market who is behind you in that process and doesn't know how to do pieces A to D. Great starting off point for you. Did I address everything else in your comment? Let me see. Okay, so you're saying graphic web design, virtual assistants, I'm guessing you mean like a general admin. So graphic web design, admin, no idea what groups to go for. Again, it's a lot like, having a website. Everybody needs design and graphics, and think about people who need branding. So again, I think authors, coaches, bloggers, health and wellness, they need some cohesiveness. They need to make sure that their Instagram and their Facebook page and the website all have a cohesive look and design and elements, and it really speaks to who they are. So think about those people. Like I said, authors, coaches, bloggers, health and wellness. Those are just a couple that are coming off, the top of my head, that need that whole concept of like the graphic and the web design, and to marry that together and focus on the pieces that you're really good at. You don't need to know how to do all the things when it comes to those, but focus on what parts are you really good at and get specific at that. Is it creating a logo for someone from scratch? Is it helping them rebrand? Or is it helping them take the concept that they have and then turning that into a real brand that you pull out and say, okay, well now I can make different versions of your logo, so you can use it on your website, and you can use it in social media, and you can use it in print media. Think about what pieces of that graphic and web design are you really good at. And yeah, you could still offer other services. It's okay to have more than one income stream. Absolutely. So if you had some admin clients on the side, but you really like to focus on the graphic and web design, then use the money coming in from admin clients to pay to support that business and create more of what you want with the web design and the graphics. Totally okay to do. Okay, more comments. I'm going to try to get them. Okay, Tammy says, I have customer service, billing, coding, and collections. So that's her experience. I just graduated from billing and coding. My history is working in the hospital as a CNA. I do not want to do just billing and coding. I have no idea where to go with this. Okay, so customer service, billing, coding, collections. You could also, okay, and you want to get away from hospital. What about private practice people? They will often hire outside companies to handle things like that for them. So you can think locally, you could think further than that. Are there small private practice places? It doesn't have to be a hospital setting. Maybe it's even a psychologist's office. It doesn't have to be a doctor's office, or maybe it's an OBGYN. I would explore the possibilities. Maybe they do hire outside resources to help with customer service and bill collection, for example. Maybe that's something you want to work on. You can help provide those services, just not on site. We all know the benefits of hiring somebody versus having an in-house employee. So you can do all of those things virtually. You just have to be clear that you're able to handle confidentiality and HIPAA and all of that, and make that clear to them. So maybe that's a market that you want to look for. Okay. Sheila says, I see job postings on FB groups. It's tough competition to land clients. We are going to cover that in a different part of this, how to connect with them. So Facebook groups is one way, but there might be different ways to go about it. Okay. There's also a suggestion for Tammy when we were talking about, customer service and billing. Dentist office, that's another idea. Thank you for putting that out there. And yes, Jenny's confirming, for the person who was looking to do website setup for people, like a hair salon, they're not going to want to set up their own website online. They'd rather pay somebody who knows how to do that, right? So think about those people. Why is it cutting off my comments? Okay. So let me refresh and then we'll move on from here. Okay. So I'm hoping that you're getting this idea of putting the pieces together of your services and then who needs that help, and getting a little more specific than, hey, I can help anyone with anything, because then we're not attracting anyone. Okay. So that is the idea there. Okay. Looks like I'm answering people. Sorry. I had to refresh to get the comments to go again. Okay. So moving on now, we're going to go to how do you find that market online? Remember, we're just focusing on online. I'm not saying that's all that you can do. Here's my biggest tip on this. You don't need to be everywhere online, and you might hear it differently somewhere else. I am telling you from my experience and then the clients that I coach, you don't have to be everywhere online. What I feel is most important is picking, especially when it comes to social media platforms, picking ones that you enjoy being on or that you want to learn more about, and ones that you find your clients on. The end. You don't need to be everywhere. I'm giving you permission to not feel like you need to set up a social media profile on everything out there. If you don't want to, you don't need to be on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest. You don't have to do all of that. You need to focus on the ones that you enjoy, or the ones that you want to learn more about, and where your ideal client hangs out. And I really recommend maybe start with 2. And it might be different if you're going to be a social media manager. You feel like, well, I need to have my bases covered. But I'm talking about in general and a starting point. Remember, we're starting off. We're putting pieces of this puzzle in place so you can move on to the next thing. We're taking action as we go. So think about 2 places. Focus on 2. That's much more doable than everything out there and being so overwhelmed by it. Okay, so you focus on 2 and you work that consistently, and then you decide if you need to tweak something. If you're going to stay there, if you're moving to a different platform, you need time and consistency to know if it's working. Okay, so that's part 1. Okay, let me check my notes. So I'm going to get more into that. Another way to figure out where they are, or to find people who need what you do, set up some Google Alerts. Google Alerts is really easy. You can set it up to pull particular keywords. When those keywords pop up online different places, whether someone did a search on Google or other social media platforms, it can give you an email digest of anytime those phrases come up. So instead of doing a search for words like need a virtual assistant, again, that's general, right? That's too general. You're going to get a lot of stuff back. Be more specific for your services. Put in search for keywords like need a bookkeeper, or need a transcriptionist, or looking for a, and whatever you do here. Okay, so set up some keywords, and you're gonna have to play with them and see what kind of results you get, but it is a starting point. So then you're going to get an email digest on the Google Alert, and it tells you all the places where that phrase has come up, and you'll be able to see where people are looking and who is looking for those kinds of services. It's an easy thing to do. Again, you might have to tweak it a bit to, play around with keywords to get the things to come up that you want to, but you'll be able to see, did they post it on Twitter? Did they say it on Facebook? Did they do a search on some group or forum for it? Is that somebody I'd want to work with? It'll give you an idea. It'll give you a place to start. It'll give you a sense of who is looking for what you know how to do. Okay, so that's one piece of it. So the other piece of it, like I said, is to look at the social media platforms themselves and maybe focus on 2 at a time. Again, if 2 is too much, start it with 1. It's totally okay, because you know what? You're doing something. You need to start somewhere and need to take action to move forward. Okay? Sheila's asking, do you also need your own niche? People always ask what my niche is. So here's where I was saying, when you're starting out, some people know right away. They're really clear. They have a very narrow, scope of here's exactly what I do and who I help. What I'm giving you is a general way to do that. Over time, the more you can niche it down, the better it'll be for you, because you're much more specific in your marketing, and you can also make a lot more money because you're focused on, I do this for this one group of people. Boom. And you can charge more money for it. Do you have to start that way? No, but at least get a sense of what we're talking here today. Here are my services. Here are the kinds of people that I help, and narrow those people down, not just anybody. Okay, so I hope that helps, with that whole concept. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to find them on particular social media platforms. I'm going to keep this really simple and not complicated at all. Use the search bar in the social media platform. Type in the keyword for your target market and see what you find. Do you see authors on that platform? When you type in author or a particular genre author, do a lot come up on Facebook? Try it on Twitter, or try it on LinkedIn, or type in, I don't know, some kind of health and wellness person, whatever this market is that you're thinking to go after. Type that into the search box. Like I said, sure, there might be other ways, but it doesn't have to be big and complicated. This is a way for you to take action and get started. So type it in. Do you see a lot showing up on there? Then maybe that's a good place to start and find those people. If they're already there interacting, you want to go to them. Tammy asks, so will it take time to have a niche? Yeah, again, it all depends on your services and the group of people. I can tell you for me, I started out a little more general. I picked like 3 services that I knew how to do and went after a couple of markets simultaneously, but I was very specific for each one. And then I ended up over a number of months realizing that what I was really good at and what people wanted most from me was general transcription, because the way that I did it, and I figured out why I was good at it and how that made me different. And then I really focused on that. So then there were a number of different markets that I serviced, but just with that main offering. So it might be different for you. It might be you know how to do a whole bunch of things for one group of people, or you know how to do one specific type of thing that will help a number of people. That takes time in just doing the work and seeing what you come through, seeing what happens. You'll start to figure out, I really enjoy this, or people keep telling me how great I am at this. And sometimes it's things that come so naturally to you, you don't see how it's something special. Think about those things. We all have them, and then you'll know someone who has them. Maybe something comes so easy to you that you don't even realize, I could do that and get paid for it. I'm really good at it all the time. For me, I knew I was always good with the written word. Proofreading came easy to me, so it was one of the first services that I offered, because I was the person that everybody came to. In school and in college, before people turned in papers, they would bring it to me and say, Alicia, can you look this over and make sure everything looks good, spelling, grammar, punctuation wise, all of that. I'd be like, sure. I didn't think of it because that was just second nature to me. It was just something I was naturally good at. So I didn't even consider that it might be something that other people are not and they could pay me to do. So that might be the case with you. Okay, so back to finding this market, like I said, do some keyword searches on the different social media platforms and see if you're finding them there. I know it seems so simple, but it does work. You have to have a starting off point. So maybe you search Facebook and LinkedIn, and those are 2 places that you find, the markets a lot. Okay, great. Start there. You have to find a starting place. All right, let me check my notes and comments and see what else I want to tell you about this. Okay, so I want to give an example because somebody was this far along when I asked for feedback about this training session. And here's what she says. I'm clear on my services. So she knows what she wants. She has admin, transcription, and invoicing in the legal profession industry. But I'm having trouble being able to network with them. All the places that lawyers hang out, online and off, are only open to you if you are a lawyer. Okay, so some industries it's like that, right? It's very closed off. They only want other lawyers in there, so it's hard for you to get in a network. Totally get that. So here's an idea. First of all, when I hear lawyer or legal profession, LinkedIn. That's a place it's a lot more professional, business-like. I think you should be on LinkedIn. You want to create a really great profile that speaks to that audience and how you help them. And the other thing that helps with that market is direct mail too. So like I said, we're really focusing on online, but for this particular person, it could be a combination of LinkedIn and making great connections on there and sending out direct mail. What do I mean by that? For a lawyer, think just a letter. It doesn't have to be some fancy thing. A letter that is really professional, talking about your services and what specifically you do to help them. Think it's all about them. It's not about you. Be really specific on how you're helping them save time, money, that kind of thing. So, just a letter about your services. And then the big piece that you want to remember when it comes to something like direct mail is at the bottom. And again, it doesn't have to be some fancy program to do this. Give them a coupon for X amount off their first services with you. Now you've given it value. You've given it some monetary value that they're not just going to want to toss that in the trash. They're going to hold on to that. You've basically given them money. Right? So professional letter, clear on what you do, and then giving them that call to action to contact you, and then putting a coupon on there. Doesn't, like I said, you don't have to go find some program and make up a coupon code or anything. It could just be written on the letter that they can contact you and mention the letter, and they get X number off their first services. Okay? So that's an idea of how to put these pieces together. So that's somebody who was looking at legal field. Like I said, my suggestions would be LinkedIn and a direct mail marketing You can certainly find listings of local law offices in your area, for example, and send out those letters. Keep track for yourself of when they're going out. So it's not a huge expense to be able to do it that way. Okay. Other questions when it comes to putting these two pieces together and then finding those people online. Like I said, we're going to get more into then how to connect with them, but that's a different section. Today, it was really just about make sure you're clear on those services and the market, and then how do you figure out where to find them? Because I'll tell you, it's a part that stumps people, right? Because you think it's got to be harder than that. It's got to be more complicated. There has to be some fancy software I probably have to buy to do this, or I have to run Facebook ads to find them because that's all you can ever do, but I don't know how, and it costs a lot of money. No. As you can see so far, I didn't tell you anything that cost you a bunch of money to do, but it takes time and effort. Okay? So that's kind of your homework for today. I want you to think over putting those pieces together, and then of course coming in the comments and letting me know what questions you have on this so that you can then take the next step, put that next piece of the puzzle into place for yourself. Let me check the comments. All right, looks like we're good there. So what else do I want to tell you about? Tomorrow, it's going to be all about getting yourself out there. So this is our next puzzle piece. So yes, you're out there actively looking for clients, but what will they see if they find you? What if in interacting with them, they want to go find out more about you, just like you would somebody else, right? You kind of type in, search about them, see what you can find out about them. They're going to do the same thing about you. So what will they find? What's going to give them an indication that you are a real business, you are serious about this, you're not a scam, and you know about this information? Okay, so that's what we're going to cover tomorrow. Aisha has a question. Is data entry, email management, customer service, and research good services to offer? Yeah, you can absolutely build a business with that. You just have to figure out specifically who to work with, who needs that. And I don't know if you were on earlier, Aisha, but I addressed you towards the beginning of this training. So check out the replay, because I talked about a market that you could possibly think of to match your services with, your services and skills with who needs that. How can you help them? Yes, you can absolutely start with those things, and you can put them all together and figure out a group of people that you love to work with to do that. So yeah, check out the replay. I talked about that earlier, and I addressed your questions on that very specifically. Okay, so part 2 is going to be putting yourself out there online, what that looks like, and also covering, do you need a website? We'll get into all of that. You're welcome. Okay, so to learn more on today's topic, of course, ask questions and I will check on them. You can also get my ebook, Build It Big Online Marketing Guide. It has all of these pieces in more detail in the ebook. It's an affordable next step if you're looking to learn more, not an expensive piece. Like I said, it goes into these concepts in detail. There's even a questionnaire in there you can fill out to try to figure out your target market for yourself. So I'll put the comments, or I'll put the link in the notes for you, but you can find that at newvaadvice.com/build it. Just run together, newvaadvice.com/build it. And again, that is my Build It Big Online Marketing Guide ebook. It's going to take all of these little pieces, put them all together for you in one long strand so that you can take it step by step and do that. Okay. The other thing you could do, if this is really resonating with you and you're thinking, great, but I need more help, but I can't afford a big coaching package with you, think about my Marketing Mastermind. It is super affordable monthly group coaching, and this is what we do. We just focus on each person's business, set goals for that particular person, and keep you accountable and moving through the steps that you need to have a successful business. Okay, so certainly an option for you. I would love to see you in there. I love doing the Marketing Mastermind calls. You get calls with me. You get a ton of my resources for free for being in there. Like I said, it's affordable. It's not a big, heavy one-on-one package. A lot of people can't start there, and that's okay. So check out the Marketing Mastermind. That is at newvaadvice.com/marketing-mastermind. Questions, of course, leave comments. I see another question coming through. Mel says, I keep having people tell me to put my business info on my private FB page. FB looks down on this and I find a dangerous idea, so my personal page is locked down tight. What do you think of that idea? I agree with what you are doing, Mel. Yes, you have to make sure you're following the terms of service for each social media platform. It's so important, because they shut you down, then there goes that. Right? We want to follow the rules. Because we want to be ethical in every other way of our business. So I agree with that. Your personal page is your personal page. That's why you make a Facebook business page. And then you can do lots of things with that. You can make a group if you want, or you can do other things. I mean, Facebook now allows you to interact as your page with other pages and with personal profiles. So that's the way to go. I think you're doing it right. You want to make the business page, and that's what it's for. That's why Facebook gives us the opportunity to do that. That's what they want us to do. Okay? So great question. Thank you for asking. Okay, again, any other questions or comments, leave them below. If you enjoy this content in general and you want to learn more from me, or just check out all the free resources that I have on my site, go over to newvaadvice.com and you'll see a way to subscribe to my list. You get a bunch of free resources for starting yourself out, and then you'll find a ton of information there on the blog as well. And if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I can always include the link in the notes for those not on YouTube. I will be posting all of these as replays on my YouTube channel as well, and I'm happy to have you there and connect with me. Okay, so I think this wraps up part 1 for us. I hope this was helpful. Like I said, I really want you to take these pieces and build on them and take action. And I'm hoping that you're getting the concept here, that I mean what I say, in that you're going to get a lot of good standalone information from this. Yes, I'd love for you to work with me further, but if you don't, take what you're learning in here for free and do something with it. That's what I want you to do, okay? So have a great day. Thank you so much for being here, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.